Hello, Capricorn. It's 2021 when I'm delivering this message, but this is my first timeless reading, so I'm trusting that this will find you whenever you need it. And if it resonates with you, then it's your message. And if not, then, use discernment with tarot readings, mine, others, all of them. I won't go on my little spiel, but anyway, let's dive in. I'm pulling from my Iris Oracle deck first, and I feel like there's already a theme emerging. We got Mysterious Mother, Inside Looking Out, and Smother. So with these, there's just kind of a general quarantine moment, fatigue kind of energy. I mean, especially with her, Inside Looking Out, this is kind of like a card being like when you feel lonely or you feel like nothing's happening or you feel like that FOMO feeling of everyone's hanging out without me. And the medicine or the message of this card is sometimes we do need to go inward, sometimes nothing is happening for us for a reason, and it's kind of like a womb energy. And we got this mother too of this is talking about there's always light in the darkness, and it's kind of asking you to call on divine mother energy. So kind of that nurturing kind of, it's almost like Empress energy, really, is what I would say. So it's kind of calling on the part of yourself. This pink stuff is supposed to be these calming, nurturing waters that are supporting you even when things seem dark. And there is light even when it seems dark, right? So there's kind of a little bit of a vibe of when you're in the dark, you can see the stars more clearly. And then we got Smother, which of course has the word mother in it. And there's this snake kind of eating or suffocating this mouse. And this card kind of talked about when you're feeling constricted or in that tight spot, can you make yourself smaller in a way so that you can see things from a bigger picture? Meaning if the mouse, instead of resisting and struggling, kind of just shrunk itself and maybe kind of got out of the grasp a little bit. I could read from this book. What did it say? It said, if you struggle, the hold may just become even tighter. Breathe. Make yourself smaller to see the bigger picture, and you might just slip out of that grip. So with these three combined, Capricorn, I kind of got a little bit of healing mother wound kind of energy, because this one talked about being in a womb, this one's mother, so there's kind of a sense, or it's a butterfly kind of moment for you maybe, where all of the pressure that's being put on you, maybe just emotionally, is trying to serve some greater purpose in terms of helping you to break out maybe of some old patterns. Or what this one was saying, Smother, the getting smaller to see a bigger picture, makes me think of it's when you're being faced with this problem so consistently, whatever it might be for you. Maybe we can dive deeper with the tarot. But when you're being confronted with this inner wound, most likely, right, that's creating this pattern of darkness or this pattern of kind of feeling left out, how can you kind of accept it, lean into it, and let that become an informing process? So, and how can you reapproach the same problem perhaps from a new vantage point? Another message I'm really getting strongly with this kind of combination of energy is how you treat yourself. Okay, well, a lot of stuff is coming to me. Okay, one thing that's coming to me is I'm watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, season 4, and there's a scene where Sabrina has to go into the heart of darkness. She realizes she'll always have herself, in that case quite literally, because she has a doppelganger version of herself that she's becoming friends with because she's a narcissist, but that's not what I mean. Let's think of it in terms of self-love and always having your own back and always being on your own team. That is the more positive aspect of this, right? Becoming your own mother in a way, or your own support system, your own guidance. And also with these stars, being able to see the stars in the dark. I'm kind of seeing, like, in this dark period, what can you see that you wouldn't be able to see if everything was going very swimmingly? So Sabrina ends up calling, I mean, spoilers, but I'm just trying to give more general emotional advice, which is whatever darkness is kind of like consuming you or pressure you're under that's like constricting you. This moment is about you finding that inner light or finding light outside of you that maybe you wouldn't have been able to see if things were better, i.e. stars. So either using the guidance of stars, which could be synchronicities, or it could be hits of intuition, or could be glimmers of hope that you're kind of hanging on to here. Also calling on your own inner light, your own self-support system, kind of having a more nurturing relationship with yourself in this dark, calling on your own Empress Mother energy to receive. And with Smother, it's like allowing the pain and the constriction of whatever moment you're in to help you reapproach new strategies, to find new coping patterns, to find new ways of being in general, right? The transformation, that butterfly energy. So I barely know what I said because I'm somewhat channeling these. What else was I going to say about this? I think a lot of it has to do with how we deal with the darkness. How we don't let the darkness suffocate us, even if it feels suffocating. The darkness being depression, anxiety, overwhelm, fatigue, just panic. It's natural to feel that way, being a human on this planet. Absolutely. But even that, right? That's okay. Here's what I can talk about pretty confidently. Even though I'm on a spiritual path, even though I'm on a path of healing, I'm not immune to being in the darkness myself, right? The darkness being like depression or even like some state of like nihilism even, right? Where it's like life has no meaning, what's the point? But when I used to get there, I used to be really frustrated with myself. I used to be like, wow, I try all these healing modalities, I try everything under the sun, and nothing works. Like, I always end up here back in the darkness. And what's changed for me is my relationship to the darkness. I realized, because like I listened to this one podcast with like this rabbi woman, and I should be able to give her full credit. I'll have to look up her name, and maybe I'll link it below, but she was talking about how she feels that way too. And she was like, I've realized it's a part of life. It's just a place I come to every once in a while. And I think that's kind of an important part, maybe especially with the Smother energy, is that it's like instead of like internalizing the dark, like this girl is like kind of like, wow, what's wrong with me? Like no one wants to hang out with me. She's kind of like putting it on herself a little bit. But I think the message here is like it's not your fault. And it's normal. So even if you are in that dark place, part of it is just changing our relationship to it and kind of accepting it as part of a cycle that, we live in cycles of light and dark, and like there is this duality on this planet. So yeah, I think the important part of it is like with this mysterious mother, it's like not internalizing anything as like something you did wrong or something that you're failing at. It's just kind of like, this is the moment, this is where I'm at, this is what's happening. So not adding additional pressure to yourself or adding condemnation or judgment on yourself is important. And again, I think this card wants to talk a little bit about what are either the silver linings, or what is this moment trying to teach me, or if I'm in a womb space, what am I growing into? So yes, I've spoken on this for 10 minutes, but I feel like, Capricorn, this message for you right now is primarily about your relationship to the darkness and how you either find the light or create the light within yourself. And a lot of that feels like just renegotiating your perspective and your approach to the situation you're in. Primarily your perspective, meaning accepting it, kind of, and also feeling all those feelings, like letting yourself grieve if you need to. And then hopefully that in doing that, you come to new insights, or breaking some old patterns that help you ultimately to heal and to nurture yourself and to get through these more difficult transitions that we sometimes go through in life. That was a lot. Okay. So I'm just going to pull like a few tarot cards, and that'll be that. Okay. Interesting. Okay, wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. So, we got death. Right? I feel like that makes a lot of sense. The Hanged Woman. Eight of Swords. Nine of Pentacles, love. Six of Cups. And then these two Knights in reverse. So, I mean, death and the Hanged Woman, I just feel like if this is your message, then perhaps right now you are just going through a major ending, which will lead to a beginning. But we also got this Eight of Swords. It seems like kind of you might feel in limbo a little bit, like you're not, I mean, I'm getting that with the Hanged Woman, right? Just, there's maybe something that you're grieving, or just, even if it's not like a specific external event, although it could be like a breakup with these two Knights in reverse, could be a literal death, it could be of someone else that you loved, or just, right, I mean, again, these are timeless readings, but I'm doing this reading in January of 2021, so as I'm doing this reading, we're kind of like in the height of the pandemic, and there's like an old world that we've lost, right? And we don't even know what's next. So with these two energies, I just feel like it's confirmation of everything I've said, of like, if you feel, it's like, I mean, it's so stupid, but this is what I'm getting. It's like that whole, like, when you're buried, you've just been planted, right? And it feels like there might just be a lot of pressure on you, but also, like, not a lot of, like, agency, especially with, like, the Eight of Swords and the Hanged Woman. It just feels like a lot is not in your control. I really love the movie Castaway, because I've been in, again, as I was talking, like, I've been in a dark space. And as I talked about before too, like, I used to think, like, God, like, I try everything and, like, nothing works, right? Like, I meditate, I do yoga, I stop drinking alcohol, I listen to all these, like, self-help things, I read every self-help book under the sun, like, what else can I do, right? Like, I just, you know, like, in trying to heal myself, I've done literally all the things that someone could tell you to do. And none of it seems to add up. But it's like, when I was talking about, like, reapproaching things, it's like part of what is reinforcing that pain is that I'm trying to fix something within me, right? Like, I'm trying to say, oh, there's something wrong with being in the Hanged Woman position. There's something wrong with grieving. There's something wrong with endings. There's something wrong with not moving forward. Something wrong I'm doing, like, right? Like, internalizing that as, like, and I'm sharing that in case that resonates with you in part of your message. And Castaway was really helpful for me because it kind of gave me that perspective of like, oh, you would never say like Tom Hanks's character isn't manifesting well enough, right? You would never like um criticize him for, not visualizing a boat coming to him hard enough or like well enough, or like that he's not in alignment. Like he's literally on a deserted island in the middle of nowhere. There were elemental circumstances that were preventing him from getting what he wanted, right? Especially you would never like criticize a man stranded on a deserted island for like not being able to manifest like a steak dinner or something, just because circumstantially that moment didn't provide that. And so there's like kind of an with these two in particular, I think there's just kind of something to me that's saying like where you're at is like part of a bigger cosmic, even maybe elemental process that has nothing to do with you. It's just where you happen to be at, alongside the bigger picture of the journey. And so I think a deep sense of acceptance can be helpful, because this girl's totally stuck. That's what the Eight of Swords is. It's like being stuck. And the Hanged Woman is like that kind of being in, especially with death, it's like that being in limbo of not being here nor there. And what we were talking about with these oracle cards, I think a lot of it is just saying like the more you can accept this period of grieving or loss or just darkness or difficulty or challenge, and just kind of cultivate it within yourself to have a sense of optimism that defies the odds. Because that's another part of Castaway, is like he did try to end his life, and then it didn't work. And then he was like, at some point I realized like for some reason I had to go on and keep breathing. And then one day the tide brought in a sail, and then that was how I got off the island. And he's like, I had no reason to believe that the tide would bring anything to me, or that there would be a sail or a way off the island. I just kind of had this weird faith. And I think that's what I get with the stars, is like, there is just something trying to guide you through this kind of womb dark period. And also the light within you can just be holding on to the faith of like the guidance of something bigger, some bigger perspective, some kind of like faith, basically. And faith being not what you can see or understand or feel, but even just the hope that there's going to be a change. Six of Cups, even if the change is out of your control at this moment, and you're kind of just having to sit in this period of moving through kind of this maybe intense metamorphosis, because death does bring rebirth. It does. Death and rebirth are the same side of the coin. And I just feel like this to me is saying like, go there, go to the underworld and like face some of it too, because it's going to help you heal and transmute in a way. Like, this is an opportunity in a weird, maybe messed up way, but it's an opportunity to heal the past. Six of Cups is looking back. And I was speaking before too about patterns that may be unconscious, and if you're in this kind of dark period, a lot of times like all this like weird painful stuff can come up. But I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting with these two knights in reverse, especially we got fire and air energy in reverse. So especially knights, words, stories we tell ourselves, fire, kind of our energy, how we use it. So I think there could be some like opportunity for you to heal around how you think, what you let yourself think. noticing your thought patterns and noticing where you put your energy or where you've been trying to force things, especially in your life. When you're kind of put at a standstill and forced to heal, when you're, yeah, it's like when you can't move forward, you kind of almost have no choice but to heal. And so it's like you can look at what's been kind of running your operating system. That's what I'm getting with the Six of Cups and all this other stuff, is like you can use this kind of forced period of slowdown to heal, particularly how you use your energy and how what you're telling yourself about what you believe. And again, it's like when painful stuff comes up, especially maybe like self-abusive talk, you can notice it and question it and interrogate it a little bit too. Because you're not running, it's like just the benefit of not having a lot going on, of being kind of stuck or isolated again, is that you can really do healing work without being put in situations where you're just going to be reacting to the external world all the time. So it's like this womb period. What can you gain, particularly in terms of healing what's no longer working within your own psyche? And to cap it all off, I mean, we got the Nine of Pentacles, and we got Peacock energy, and this card is about kind of like, to me, being independent, self, especially, I mean, these two, I think kind of the biggest thing you can give yourself right now is your own self-confidence and your own belief in yourself and your own kind of like knocking away those limiting beliefs about what's possible for you and where you're allowed to shine is particularly also what I'm getting with the Nine of Pentacles and this Peacock. It's like, why are you maybe, especially with this like past, right? It's like maybe there's like an over commitment to the past because it's familiar and the past is dissolving a little bit or has already. And so even though you don't know how to move forward yet, maybe moving forward isn't the point right now. Maybe the point right now is just to keep kind of being your own source of nurturance. A lot of like stuff that I'm getting lately too is about filling up your own cup, being your own light, being your own beacon, of trusting that this Nine of Pentacles kind of energy is within you, and that when you really access it within you, meaning not necessarily the external abundance, but just the belief that you have some purpose in the world and some reason for kind of going on, i.e. Tom Hanks on the island, believing there's some reason that he needs to stay alive, and then he starts to see the evidence, the sail comes in, and then he's able to put his faith in himself to build the raft and follow the stars of some greater destiny, which is just seeing where the currents are really trying to take you. So I think that's basically your message. It's like, overall, it's darkest before the dawn, and the more you can embrace and accept where you're at and use it in a way to heal and let yourself change, I think then the easier it'll be to cope with maybe a period of waiting, of kind of being unsure about what direction things are going in or how to navigate it until, you know, you do get your answers. Things do open up and things do become less constricting and you find the rebirth on the other side of this metaphorical death process. Woohoo! All right, thank you, and I'll see you again. Bye.